everybody. Welcome to the Martin E. Single Theater Center. My name is Sarah Stites. I'm the Next Generation Fellow here at the Center. But on behalf of our Executive Director, Frank Henschker, and the entire Siegel staff, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on this afternoon. Is it nice outside?
Really?
So thanks for joining us. We are today celebrating the publication of Anne Bogart's new book, What's a Story? So thank you for coming to partake in that day with us. This evening, we hope to see you all back here at 6:30 p.m. Anne will be taking the stage with playwright Charles Mee to read excerpts from her book and also just talk a little bit.
If they ever arrive.
If they ever arrive. I have it on good authority from FedEx, so they will be here by 6.
So I can't read.
We will make sure that there is at least one copy here for you. Shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, we hope to all see you at 6:30 this evening. But right now, as you can see, we're joined by members of SITI Company, along with artists from their new initiative, SITI Conservatory. And I will leave the description of that to the experts, but I wanted to thank Leon Ingulsrud for joining us today. He'll be moderating the panel. He's a founding member of SITI Company, is that correct? And I also want to thank Michelle Preston, who was instrumental in organizing this. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you all again for coming. If you want to just take this opportunity to silence your cell phones, and YouTube panelists, because it'll really cause trouble with the microphones. Without further ado, thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming. My name is Leon Ingulsrud. I'm a founding member and one of the co-artistic directors of the SITI Company. And in a moment, I'm going to ask these much more attractive people sitting around me to introduce themselves, but they are all members of our inaugural class of the SITI Conservatory. SITI Company, I want to speak just very briefly to give you a little bit of context. SITI Company is an ensemble-based theater company. We're based here in New York City. We are in our 22nd year, and we unusual amongst theater ensembles in the United States. We're the same group of people who have been doing it for 22 years, so with very little turnover. And education and training has always been a part of our DNA and very much what has held us together as a company. And we, from our very first year, a component of our activity was teaching and training young artists or the next generation of artists, both as a way of ourselves reconfirming or exploring the work, but also we had as our mission to pass on the values that we had learned from those who went before us. In the last few years, we have been talking about doing a more intensive training program. The training that we do requires longer term work than simply 3 or 4 weeks, which was usually the time spent. And so we created, after much deliberation and with a lot of hard work, we created a 9-month program for 20 artists from around the world, and these are a very representative sample of them. I want to show you some slides, just some pictures, so that you have some visual reference. So if we could bring up the slides, and let's just go ahead to the next slide. This is our studio. It's on 8th Avenue. It's just a few blocks from here. And they're working, yeah. We can go to the next slide, please. And in the middle there is a SITI Company member, Akiko Aizawa, and one of the hallmarks of our training is that company members train with the students. So if you're not teaching, you're on the floor with them.
Can we turn down the lights so we can see better?
Can we turn down the lights? They're having trouble seeing the screen, apparently. I'm not sure. There we go. We can go to the next slide. Action shots. And we can go to the next slide. A lot of moving. The work is very physically based. We see the body as the primary instrument of the actor, inclusive of the mind. So it's not to say that we're not paying attention to other things, but the body is what gets worked on the most. We can go to the next slide. So that some of the classes were sit at a table and read and academic things as well. This is a dramaturgy class. We can go forward. And our physical plant is rather limited. It was our own rehearsal studio and office, which suddenly was accommodating 20 artists all day, every day. We can go to the next slide. And the next slide. This was day 100. It's a rather grueling schedule to do this every day for 9 months, and it's transformative in that sense. Next slide. We brought in guest artists. This is in the red there in the middle is Miki Orihara, one of the principal dancers in the Martha Graham Company, and she came in and taught. We can go to the next slide. Next, Chuck Mee with the Red Suspenders is back to us. Taught a playwriting component. We can go to the next slide. And Mary Overley, who is the originator of the viewpoints technique. She's really kind of a postmodern genius. She came in and did a session with us that was pretty amazing. We can go to the next slide. And in addition to that, in the middle of the year, the SITI Company had what we call our creative lab, doing work on a production of The Persians that we'll be doing in LA this summer. And the Conservatory simply got folded into that work and worked alongside the company. You can go to the next slide. So this is working with the company on The Persians. The next slide, as is this. The next slide. And working in the studio using various materials. Some of the classes were involved in drawing inspiration from paintings and other materials, but really looking at the artist, the actor as a theater creator. So not saying that it comes from the director, not saying that it necessarily always comes from the playwright, but that the actor is a generative, creative artist in multi-medias. Let's go to the next slide. Then near the end of the year, we focused in on making one production with the entire company, which ostensibly I was directing, which just meant that I sat in that chair, but everybody spoke up a lot. We can go to the next slide. And so we focused everything into one project. And the next slide. And the next. And then these are some production shots from a show that we finished a week ago at the TGB Theater on 36th Street. And the next slide. These are some production shots. And the next slide. And the next. 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 Yeah, so that's the slides. Without further ado, and gang, we have to use the microphones or the people on the interwebs can't hear us. So I'd like to ask you, maybe we can start with Isa and go around this way, and just ask them to introduce themselves and tell us where they're from, and then we'll get into some discussion.
Hello, my name is Isabel, and I'm from Spain.
I'm Daniel Lehman-Smith, and I'm from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
I'm Allie Kennedy-Scott, and I'm from Sydney, Australia. Hi, I'm Violetta, I'm from New York.
Hi, I'm Gina Yotopoulou, I'm from Athens, Greece.
Hi, I'm Clara Pagone, I'm an Italian-Australian based in Melbourne.
Hello, I'm from Singapore. My name is Wan Ching.
Hi, I'm Emily Spalding from Connecticut.
Hi,
Hello, I'm Yanuka from the Netherlands.
Hi, I'm Lee Hendricks, I'm from South Carolina.
I'm Andrea Spetkov, and I'm from Los Angeles.
My name's Alana, I'm from San Francisco.
I'm Jaakko Kiljunen from Helsinki, Finland.
Great, so as you can see, it's a diverse geographic sample, not only from the world, but even within the United States, quite diverse. So let me throw open a big topic to start with, which is to say, as you come out of an intensive training program now and begin, I mean, the point of training, the point of doing this work is to then go out and make your own work. And SITI Company has its body of work that we've put into the world and that we continue to. And certainly our dream and expectation for you is that you would do the same. But what are the challenges and opportunities that you see in front of you right now? What scares you and what gives you hope as you think about your future?
Shall I start?
Go ahead.
Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, it's really nice to see all of you and thank you for coming. It's exciting for all of us. The biggest challenge I feel coming out of this program is losing the structure of the day and the need and the focus to create work regularly and within a schedule. I'm a schedule lover and a structure fiend, I would say. So the idea of myself, Emily, needing to devise a life where I can continue to make work and self-produce is very scary, and it's been very spoiling to be in the studio with these 20 people every day for the last 9 months, and I've gotten very used to it. So I'm anxious about that process, but looking forward to it. And connected to that, the hopefulness comes with knowing that I found a community of people in New York that I can work with, and that I know I can work with, and I'm excited to work with. And there's a really shared sense of community among us and a desire to continue working together. And that is more than I could have hoped for coming into the program. So I'm really thrilled about that.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I think there are numerous challenges. Probably key challenges, of course, are funding. How do you get the funds to put something up? And as Emily said, of course, that structure to do it. And also, at the moment, we're towards the end of the internet revolution. The world is changing at such a rapid pace, how we get information, how we get entertainment. And I think the consumer of, the consumer today is very saturated in rich information, and people see entertainment and information in a different way. They watch television while tweeting, while communicating. So it's a really different population today. And so I think one of the key challenges is how do we adapt to that kind of audience? How do we reach that audience that is so saturated with information and sensory overload all the time? And I think that's one of the things that I love about the training with SITI is that what we've learned is how to be so specific, so detailed in every part of our bodies and minds, and also in the work that we create, so that it is my hope that the audience will come into the work that we create and see the difference in the detail and the specificity, and in the fact that they're at the heart of what we create. So there is great challenge, but great hope, I think, that we can go out there, and certainly we want to kind of take the theatre world by storm and really create works that change the world. So it is my hope that we can go and do that.
Echoing a little bit of what's been said on the stage, I think we've spent the past 9 months really as a part of SITI's home, and the conversation that we're now having with one another is about creating our own home and finding our own spot in this world. And Anne, in one of your books, you talk about standing on the shoulders of giants and who has come before you, and we, I think, are standing on the shoulders of some pretty tall giants. And I think the expectation is that we become giants and have a home and an impact in the theater world that is not unlike what you guys do. And so that is a lot of pressure, and I think that it's a lot of pressure, one. But I think that we also all have the heart and the ability to come and make some really big changes. And for me in particular, I'm really interested in the point at which art and education and the community intersect, and how we have a conversation and change the world with art, which is something that's been said, and I think that's a challenge too. Yeah.
Speaking about home, I'm going home on Saturday, and I'll be leaving everyone here behind. Not behind, just leaving. So I woke up with a lot of confusion and struggle this morning, because I'm working on something with another Conservatory graduate, Shinrok Kim from Korea. We're doing Tennessee Williams, Hello from Bertha. I woke up this morning, I was like, how are we going to do this? I have no idea. I just spent 9 months in the Conservatory. I should know how to do this. I should know how to speak to her. I should know how to, yeah. But it's not happening. So I looked at my life, and I went on the internet, and then I looked at what's going on in Singapore. And so it turns out that we have, the government is trying to push forward a self-regulation scheme for arts groups, which means that our censorship board will not take on the responsibility of labeling the performance that audiences will see, but instead the arts groups will do it themselves. Very, very interesting. I'll not go into the censorship part, but what is happening is that the arts community in Singapore, over Saturday, they had a town hall meeting to discuss the implications of this policy and what they're going to feed back to the government. And all I could think about was Saturday afternoon, Singapore, which is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, in a big rehearsal studio with no air conditioning, and people from different arts groups trying to talk to each other about this policy, which is already divisive, and these people with different philosophies and language trying to come to an agreement about what to say to each other and then to recommend to the government. And then so I thought about what we have been doing very much in this whole process, which is we worked on our final presentation, 20 people, with Leon helming it, and a lot of time we had to sit down and talk. It was terrible. A lot of times we were trying to figure out, how do we talk as 20 people? How do we put our ideas forward? How do we facilitate listening to other people's ideas and giving them room to bring their ideas to fruition, to see it in action rather than just as a concept. I imagine that I'll keep on having to struggle with this for the rest of my life. And have fun.
Okay, yeah, I'm not totally sure why I took the mic from Ching, except that got me excited to hear her sort of talk about what she and Shinrok have been dealing with. Because I think moving forward, just to keep going with what you guys are talking about, it is how do we hang on to the things that we learned, and things like the structure of the program and what that allowed for us when we have to do it ourselves in a different way. And we were doing it ourselves, right, too. We were a part of what this thing, I think we have to remember that. Something I want to remember is that we were a part of what that was. We created a lot of what that structure was, and a lot of our commitment to one another as artists inside of it was what made it possible. And so that, we are capable of doing that again. And this week, or last week, our first week being done, we're all sort of starting to talk about these next steps, and they're working on that project, and then a group of us, I think these of us are represented here today, who are an as yet unnamed entity, starting to work on a project together that is inspired by the Bakai, but not an adaptation. It's sort of one of our source materials and a point of departure. We're really interested in looking at some questions around wildness and how it collides with civilization, sort of a big question. But another big part of what we're trying to figure out is what will it be for these 7 women to make things together? And we'll take from our training, okay, backing it up. So the thing that I think my big question, right, is we've been training, we have a common language there. We have a common commitment to Suzuki and viewpoints, and then what's next? We have some interests in terms of what we want to investigate, and we have some shared aesthetic. I feel confident saying that. But then, what is going to keep us together? Like, what is going to be the thing as we start to figure out what our process is and how we want to move through the world, and sort of this dual thing that where we need to be deciding some things about structure, communication, what are we going to call ourselves? And then also, we've got to make the thing. And that's been the challenge. I think my challenge prior to coming to the Conservatory often was, like, how do you balance sort of the business of yourself, the business of your making, and the thing itself, which is the next, I think, for me, feels like challenge and exciting stuff is to see what that's going to look like, and to take all of this stuff. And we talk a lot about it. I think we talked a lot about it in the program, this idea of integrating things, or sort of, so you have the training, you talk about this piece of work, or bring in some research towards a project, and then how does it then translate through you into making? And I think that's where we maybe are now, is to really let that stuff settle in and then see how it comes out of us as we move forward. Where's what else I'm here? So you can find it out.
One of the huge privileges we got with working with these phenomenal artists is that they brought in other phenomenal artists that they worked with. And it became very clear as a Conservatory member that SITI Company says something about how theatre should be made, how it could be made, and then how it's put on. And one of the people that came in to speak with us and work with us opened our minds up, I think, to putting theatre with other media and other types of arts, and maybe doing that through politics. And so returning to these themes and things that we're making, how can you generate new work that says something, and what do we want to say with that work, which for me is quite exciting. And I think going back to, this rigorous training, this very specific training, as a group, as this cohort, how can we go back to, one of the challenges is how can we go back to this very physically and body-mind connected training whilst also integrating with other arts forms. I've been lucky to be working with some media artists down in NYU through a piece for Forbidden, what's it called? Secret Society of Forbidden Literature. It's phenomenal. And we essentially got old forbidden books and performed these very private readings. So an audience member would come in and they'd say, I'd love to read Lolita. And an actor would grab them and then take off and reenact Lolita. It was really exciting. But how do you, as an artist, make sure that I, as an actor, am still checking in with my ability as a theatre artist, and also integrating with these media artists who are projecting all sorts of things around this literature. One thing I'm lucky also to be collaborating on is a comic-based theatre piece. So it's a theatre piece called Modern Superwoman, and it's with an Australian writer we're bringing here in June to do a reading and some development on it. But one of the characters is a comic artist, so how can we bring in the arts of comic through a theatre piece, still have a really solid foundation of theatre work, but also bring in another medium. And I think what's really exciting, and one of the challenges that we will all be pursuing, is every other art form comes from a very classical training. And what SITI provides for us and other artists is a really phenomenal classical training that then allows the flexibility of doing more modern work. So that's a challenge and an exciting thing that I'm looking forward to and we'll take with us.
There's like a couple of challenges and also like things I think are very important things that we have learned, or at least personally, I feel from this program. One being that, like Leon also mentioned while we were looking at the pictures, is the question of kind of a lot of physical training we do, and kind of being physically involved in our work and sharing the physical space amongst ourselves, and then in the end also with the audience, and I think this is like one of the essential questions of what theater, at least to me and myself, is amongst all the other kind of forms of entertainment or art that we have in the world, which is a lot taken over, internet, of course, and TV, and like it's a very technocratic world we live in, and theater kind of still keeps some kind of like ethos of a human being on stage with other human beings and kind of fully embodied and sharing the space. And I think this is something that we have been kind of sharing amongst each other, and I think that's something, at least like on some kind of like a more like a spiritual level, I bring back home to Finland. It's kind of the body memory of being with this group of people very intensively for such a long time. And I think that is something that I want to really keep on kind of fighting for in my personal life and in my artistic life in Finland or around the world, is the fact that we kind of have to take care of also of real human contact, which I feel as being a big threat in a larger scale in the world also. And that's like one question. And another thing I was thinking is that SITI Company has been an ensemble for 22 years, and that's like a rare thing in the modern world, I feel, at least in the Western world. And there are some examples of similar kind of groups of people working, but at least in Finland, and I feel probably here in the States also, many people are very project-based. They do one project here, another project there, and very like freelancing is like the way most people work, and then you don't have kind of the time and the ability to really grow in like deeper relationships with people you work. And personally for me, it was a big dream when I was a little bit younger, like 10 years ago. I was like, I really want to like get an education in theater and then have an ensemble to work with for many years. I felt that only that way I would grow as an artist and we would grow together. But life has gone very differently, and for the past 4 years, I've been a very like freelancer person myself, working maybe in like 5 different countries around Europe. So it has been like very much of like really always adapting to new people, new circumstances, even new cultures. And even though we have been an ensemble here, and that has taught us a lot of how we can work together on a longer term, as we did for many months, also I feel I've learned or gotten more stronger the idea of working with very diverse group coming from very diverse backgrounds around the world, and how through a certain physical training and kind of discipline training and disciplined work, we can find ways to be together and work together. So I think I will very much bring this back home to Finland, where I will be working for the next projects I have, and then I don't know where life will take me, but it's a question of kind of keeping the understanding of also self-discipline training that we have also been taught here, which I think is of great value to myself.
Hi. My two main concerns now are, first of all, how can I continue training? For me, it doesn't end. Training never ends. If it ends, you're just asleep or dead or something anyway, but not an actor. The actor must be awake. So my main concern is, how do I get trained? Training, it's not exercise. It has a philosophy, it has a mentality, it's something else. So my main concern, especially going back to Greece, where I intend to spend most of my year, is how to create the community to be able to do that. A SITI Company member, J.Ed, has brought all the Greeks who have been training the SITI Company together, so we know, we have a way to contact each other, and I want to organize us now that I'm going back. And the second main concern, it's very common with international people. I want to go back. I know who are the people I want to work with. I respect them, I admire them, they're my friends, I love them, but they don't know anything about what I'm doing for the last 3 years. So I want to not only to share, I want to share it and to be able to, you know, offer them my experience so we can create something together.
Can I just, as we're continuing to go, can I just make an observation, and maybe this is just painfully obvious. It seems like, because I'm hearing sort of 3 layers or levels in terms of how you're talking about how you see. So one is challenges that we might say are personal challenges, like how do I get out of bed in the morning and do my work. And the second layer is sort of the interpersonal in collaborating with your colleagues. And then the third are the challenges that are out in the world. In those 3 things. And I'm actually really surprised that I'm hearing you talk more about the first 2 than the third. That, you know, because and maybe it's a generational thing, that I'm so aware of the forces in the world that are allied against being able to do our work and fighting that. And you know, we've talked a little bit about like funding problems and stuff like that. But I was really expecting to hear like the horror stories of what you were expecting from the outside, and I'm not hearing very much of that. I just want to observe that. That's interesting.
It's because we've only been done for a week.
You've been in a cocoon. Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen?
I was being quiet because everyone was being so positive. I was like, oh, okay. I think one of the most incredible things about this year is that we all learned how to speak this language together, to make theater in a way that certainly from my experience, I'd never heard anyone really talk about making theater before, which is amazing and exciting and feels like the future. But in terms of thinking about my greatest concerns, I think, I mean, it's just sort of boring to say, but how to then find the funding and the support in the theater community, to say nothing of the sort of more national community of the United States that is not so keen on arts funding, mostly. You know, how to start making stuff that isn't just for other theater people, how to really think about what we can do as political individuals as well as artistic individuals. I think we talked a lot about that this year, but the reality of being in the tiny, tiny space we shared with all of these people really did make it a cocoon in some ways. So actually taking everything we've talked about and written about and played with and becoming artists in the world is a little, you know, it's huge, it's daunting, it's exciting, of course, but just the realities of paying rent in New York and that sort of stuff. What kind of day job do I have to fight 15 other people for? You know, that sort of thing, I think, starting out for me is my greatest concern in terms of getting derailed, certainly, because I've seen that happen to enough people that it makes me just a little nervous for myself. So that's my greatest concern, not to be a downer.
One thing I'm glad you brought up, because one thing that I think in the cocoon we were so lucky to have is every single other member of my colleagues taught me how to watch theatre, how it could be perceived. And I think that's a huge challenge, is because of this common language and because of some of the amazing compositions we made together and watch each other make. How do you then show an audience who might not be familiar to watch that, how to watch it, and then support it, and then come to it, and then get excited about it? But I think, I think something in this political realm is exciting, something that we're finding, and I'm sure we'll keep playing with.
Ostensibly, the metaphor of the cocoon, if you follow that through, means now you have wings. That you started as a caterpillar. And so then now it's like, but do you feel like you have wings now? And can you fly?
I do.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that I've been amazed this week because I realized before coming here I had a lot of training and I had this really idealistic idea of how to make theater and that I had to have the exact
group of people that I wanted, that work together, and we speak the same language, and we have to be this. As long as it's a good group of people, then we'll have a great process and make something crazy. I don't know if it'll be good, but. And then spending a whole year in this cocoon and realizing that it actually opened me up a lot more to different possibilities and bringing this language into other worlds, which I'm really scared about and also really excited about. So that's my greatest fear. That's something I'm looking forward to.
Can you say more about what
So I'm from Los Angeles. And I'm going to go back there and ideally try and figure out a bi-coastal relationship with these lovely ladies to make work with here. But I need to keep practicing training when I go back, and I need to keep using these muscles and my brain and my body together and finding people there to make work with, which I have. But how to bring what we've figured out and how to communicate here that will never leave this group of people, but how to translate it into a new group, different people.
I think that this question of funding, how you're going to support the work, I think that's always a huge issue, and we tend to think that we have it harder here in the States than in many other countries, and I know that that's decreasingly the case, but I wonder, some of you from other countries, how you see, is that fear the same as what you see here?
Yeah, we have a different funding system in the Netherlands. And since a few years, since the economic crisis, 2/3 of our funding money got cut down. So I felt in the arts there was a shock, a numbness among artists and among theater makers. And at that moment, I got into the SITI Conservatory, and I feel movement again, and I think that is important to start making work again. And we're living in a fast world, so I think the training makes us fast creators because we share the training, we share the language. So it gets us, it makes us create work on a fast pace right now, I think, if we collaborate with each other. And that is important, besides having a strong voice right now in this world, especially in Europe right now. Creating work fast and keep moving, keep going forward, and keep moving. And not being numb and being stuck. And that's what we talked about also in our final stages of the SITI Conservatory is talking and being on stage and moving and creating. And moving. And moving. That's it.
Regarding what you asked, at least in Greece, it's not the same here. There is no, this, nightmare of funding. It doesn't exist. And I know now I'm going to find a new reality, because I was here in the 3 major crisis years. So before that, I used to make a living only by acting, which now it's not the case. So yes, probably you have to find a day job, but still you can make theater with, I don't know, 100 euros. It doesn't need, you don't have to pay huge, especially because of the crisis, solutions can be found. It's unbelievable what is happening now in Greece. Because of the crisis, everything is boiling. Small groups, pop up and create amazing work. Anyway, in my kitchen or and people come and see it. It has meaning, and it's deeply political, of course.
Well, I think it's interesting. 2 things are interesting about this. Is that in some ways these are some of the things we've had smaller conversations about, but we haven't necessarily talked about it as a larger group because we were so focused on producing and this final project that we made together and sort of being in the cocoon. So it's interesting to hear this being said and to hear you speak, Tina, too, because I think I have all the same fears that Alana has, and I think, and as most of us do, but I do feel like there's a lot of exciting things that are happening and that it is possible to make work. And maybe sometimes because of the circumstances, the thing that you have to push up against can maybe hopefully, I don't know, I want to say make the work better, but it's not about value in that way, but it is just the reality of it. So what does that do? What do you do with it? How do you take what you have and this beautiful gift of the time and space that we got to just focus, so you know what you're capable of in some ways when you have all that you need? Because I felt a lot of the time, sometimes, we maybe needed a little more space to work or things like that, but in terms of having this structure, these collaborators, the guidance from the SITI Company, it was, to me, something that I had been looking for a long time, and this amount of time that I got to focus was such a gift. And so, in some ways, I have a sense of what I and you guys are potentially capable of, and that is great. And so then what? What can we do now under less than ideal circumstances and not be not going to act as if they're not there or be overly idealistic, but how can we be also a part of changing it too, perhaps? Is that cohesive? Great. Who else wants to talk?
Yes. Basically, so that I talk to him. That was a bad joke, But about the cocoon and about the big question Leon through us about what is more scary and what is more hopeful to me, and about this less participation. To me, to me the answer is art itself, the devotion to art. This is it. It feels very hard for me to picture myself fighting against the world, because basically it's so big, the world. I can't. But then I go back to the cocoon, where I find sense. And the cocoon is training. The cocoon is the place where I find myself, where I find my true voice, and I find the companionship of other voices, out of ego, even out of other kind of material, practical, or background challenges. And that's the faith as well. With that, my fear is feeling alone. And I know that fear. We all know. We've been knowing it for years. And as Jean said, it's going to be there, probably forever. But I can always only go back to the truth of art. Last night I was watching this performance. I don't even know the name of the performer. I'm sure everyone is like, what? You don't know him? It might be a big figure of New York. And he started saying, I hate New York. I'm tired of New York. I'm tired of New York. And he all of a sudden started screaming, art, 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 art. And it got so emotional. And everyone in that room that I didn't have anything to do with, or maybe a lot of things to do with, we all found each other shouting for art. For art, like piano, for movement. For art, it's like, it's the only thing I can do. It's the only thing it's supposed that I am born for. And really, it's been even many years to really believe in that. Because it's very weird. None of my parents or grandparents have anything to do with theater. It's so weird. But it's the only place, a cocoon, where we can find it ourselves. Now, what is the projection to the world? I just don't know. By now, the only thing I can know is I can find myself there, training, in the training. In the training, it includes the act of art. The act of art. what we do, which is what Tina said. It's not going to the gym. It is practicing the issue of it, of what acting is, or theater, vocabulary, or is, the fear of being alone, and the hope of art itself, the practice of it, it gives so much hope as well. And somehow it makes you feel that you are bigger, bigger, and bigger. You're always bigger than before. It's that bigger in a very humble way, with all the challenges and all the suffering. And I'm looking at other teacher, GM. With all the challenges, you stretch yourself. Stretch it. And so being stretched is nothing. This is why maybe we don't have money, because when we have that, we don't care about anything else. We cannot be ambitious. We're only good. Thank you. Can I take that?
I want to talk a little about the finance challenges and about family and the cocoon as well. I think maybe part of the reason it hasn't been something that we've mentioned up here a lot is because it's been such an issue in the United States for such a long time that it's just a given fact that it's just something that we have to go out in the world and deal with. And something that's so fantastic about this group of people is that we have this shared training and the ability to create these works and the love and the passion to go out and do it. And coming back to the cocoon and renewing ourselves in one another, which is something that Anne encouraged us to do on the first day. When you're feeling tired, when you're feeling down, turn to one another, is something that we definitely do. And we have definitely made fantastic pieces in incredibly short amounts of time. And we know that we have that ability. And that's half the battle of creating works and then having the projects to go out and get the funding for. And somehow, I want to be really cheesy and for Leon's sake, quote some sci-fi, some Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park, you know, life finds a way. As artists in the world, art finds a way, you know? You make it happen. You pull yourselves up from your bootstraps, you go out, you ask people, you say, I have this, can you help me? We all have friends, we all have connections, somebody in this group knows how to write grants, and so I think it's something that maybe we're a little bit naive, maybe we're a little bit stubborn and bullheaded, but I think, have never been afraid to move a mountain. And we know that we have a strong group of people here, and so, yeah.
On that note, maybe we can open this up for if there are any questions in the audience. Sarah will help get microphones to you if you have any questions or comments.
Hi. First, I just want to point out something which to me is a little da-da-da-da kind of thing. The 5 women on the right, to my right, are all wearing decidedly red lipstick.
Same too.
Whereas the 5 women on the left, well, 6 actually, one is not wearing any, I think, and the rest are wearing delicate pink, various shades of delicate pink. I'm an observer. I've observed that. Do with it what you may. I wanted to know more about the SITI program in terms of how you all learned about it, what kind of costs are involved, what are the criteria for admission, that kind of thing, if you'd like to go into that a little bit.
Go ahead.
Oh wait, so how we learned about it, the costs involved, and what we do on a daily basis. I got an email the week I was graduating college, and I responded right away and figured and applied. I also knew it was kind of in the works for a while and was keeping an ear out for it. And on a daily basis, we have an hour and a half of Suzuki, an hour and a half of viewpoints, lunch, and then 2 more classes in the afternoon, which change between dramaturgy, composition, scene study, movement,
speaking. And I'm going to stop there. Oh, but I'm going to talk about costs because it's about $13,000 a year, and I did an Indiegogo to raise money to come here, and I raised about 1/3 of tuition to come here, and it was really very, very helpful. And I think it also helped talking about looking for money and that being a challenge and being something to push up against. It also helped me realize that people wanted me to do this. So I think it is important to go searching for funding. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some of the participants, some of the artists were people who had trained with us before and had some exposure to the work, and so knew about it ahead of time, like Andrea did. But some of you were completely new to it too, and were looking in a broader sense for something, and maybe came across it on the web or through other means. And it's been interesting having that mix of people, because both of those bring different things to the table.
I was sitting at my terrible desk job in San Francisco, and I Googled Anne Bogart, and I discovered SITI Company and saw that they had a conservatory starting this year, and that's how I discovered SITI.
Well, thank you for coming today, and congratulations on finishing the inaugural program. I'd like to make an observation and then ask a question of Leon, and I suppose by extension Anne. First off, my observation is you've all self-identified as theater artists instead of actors. And I think that's an interesting distinction to make, and an important one. Although ostensibly you're actors, of course. Unlike other actor training, the great majority, I might add, of actor training programs in this country, perhaps I'm citing the obvious, but I'll cite it anyhow, you all are privileging working together as an ensemble to make theater in order to make some sort of difference in the world, it seems to me, however I might define that difference. And that's an interesting distinction to make from the majority of training programs that really are training actors who will individually try to compete to gain work in the largely commodified industry of the profession, vis-a-vis film, television, some degree of theater perhaps mixed in there. So I applaud you for that. That's a very worthy endeavor, an important endeavor, to say the least. So my question to Leon, and I suppose Anne, is, given that this is the inaugural year of this conservatory, how would you define its success for, shall we say, the long term, like 5 years, 10 years out from now? What would you hope for its future? What would you hope for the future of your students, such as those we have here today?
In one sense, there's a very clear definition of success for me, and that would be that there would be at least one company or ensemble that comes out of the group that 10, 15 years from now is making work, making interesting work, that's standing on its own, that is doing its thing. In a certain sense, what we aimed for in the conservatory was not, it sounds a little bit strange, and it's going off of what you said about most programs being about essentially training somebody to go into a market. And what we wanted to train was a system of values that says that the irreducible unit of theater art making is not the individual actor, it's the ensemble, it's the company. That you can't reduce it past that. Yes, there is solo work. Yes, there are things with small groups, but it always happens within the context of a company. And to try to transmit that value. And there's a definition of success that I'm very, very fond of, which is that success is seeing your values actualized in the world. And so I think for us, the main task of the Conservatory that was our task as the company was to pass on our values. And so following that, if those values become activated, hopefully in wildly different ways than we imagine. Hopefully the work that they do is very, very different than the work that we've done. And maybe it's not even in the theater. Maybe it's in completely different places. But that those values somehow are actual in the world. It's also, I also believe that, and it's something Robert Woodruff said once, I don't know if he was quoting anybody, but he said to teach someone is to give them the knife with which they will stab you. And so I hope they come back and kill us in the best possible way. I don't know if, Anne, do you have any thoughts to add?
That was gorgeous. I would just add, thank you for your complimenting them, because they actually deserve a round of applause for the work that they've done. I'm not asking for that now. For those words. And I also so appreciate the distinction between being trained as an artist or being trained to go out and make a career happen for yourself. And I think that issue lies at the heart of a lot of unhappiness. Unhappiness. So, I think it was Rumi who said, what you love, you are. And I think what you care about, you become. So I very much concur with Leon's words that what we hope to see realized are values that we've come to believe in. And I think the notion of treating the theater as an art form, which means approaching that arena in a very particular way, as opposed to an arena of ego, it's an arena of usefulness in the world. And I think these are remarkable people who are going to do extraordinary things if they can only believe in themselves as much as I think they deserve it. So thank you for your question and your observation.
And actually, we are at time, so why don't we give them that round of applause.
For joining us today, and we hope to see you back here at 6:30.